Hey everybody, you know who I am. Uh, I wanted to speak to you guys a little bit today because Robin and I have been talking about this whole redoing the entire layout for a little while, and our reasoning back and forth and what each one of us thinks about doing it and so forth. And I think some of you might be surprised why I do it and why she allows me to do it and those kind of things. So we're gonna try. I'm gonna try to touch on all of those things here as I go along. Um, First things first. Let's get into this. Okay, the first thing is talk a little bit about Robin's viewpoint on this. Uh, I am 72 years old. I will be 73 years old in June. And none of us ever know, well, this is a little bit of my brain set, but none of us know how long we have in this world. Um, and her and I both understand that. And she wants me to have as much fun doing things as I possibly can within our budget, uh, while we can still do it. Hence is why we have the RV, and hence is why we have so many vehicles and that kind of stuff, because they allow us to do the things that we want to do. So therefore we have all of that. And the first thing I'd like to say about Robin's mindset is she knew how important having the Bullet Mustang was when I got it, and how Mustangs have been kind of important to me. It's just my thing since I got the Bullet. And when the layout was in the garage, that's when she started thinking about this. And for my 70th birthday, because I had to park the Bullet outside, and it was a pain to keep it clean, to do what I wanted to do, and so forth. But anyway, she said, well, she didn't say anything. When it came to my 70th birthday, she says, you know what you ought to do? You ought to build a train room out in the backyard, add another shed in the backyard. Like, we needed another shed. We have 4 sheds back here, and most of you guys know that. But she says, you need a shed back there that you can build a train layout in, and you can have all of your own space, and we can still put the Mustang in the garage, still put her car in the garage. Both of those two have dedicated spaces. And anyway, we're not going to go into the wherewithals and all that of all of the vehicle changes. And we have more vehicles than we need, but we enjoy what we have. So that being said, for my 70th birthday, she had this shed constructed back here. And this shed is as big as we could possibly make it by city rules. So we followed the rules. Many of you saw the build of this shed, and we followed the rules. We did everything by city code. Everything's hunky-dory. I was very appreciative of that, and I immediately commenced building a layout in here, as you guys know and as you guys have seen. Enthralled with all of the space, I made a drastic error that a lot of model railroaders make when they're building a layout. And that is, I wanted to utilize every square inch I possibly could for layout. And I neglected to think about the fact that there might be 4 or so human beings in here at a time. And therefore, the peninsula that used to stick out over here was always a pain in the neck to me, or a pain in my body. Me not getting any slimmer, and Gavin is a big kid, and a lot of the people that have come to look at the layout are larger people than I am. I'm a small guy. But it just became a hassle. I never liked getting through that little 24-inch space into the other side of the layout. And when you came in, all you saw was this end of the layout. You didn't see any of the rest of the stuff except just a little bit on the other side over there. And I never really cared for that too much, but that isn't really what has spurred me into tearing that layout out and building this layout. I don't know if any of you have, I guess it's OneDrive, where all your pictures and stuff are stored out there in the cloud, wherever the cloud is. But I'm not a fan of that, but somehow all my pictures go there, and I don't buy any more storage. I don't do anything. But here recently, and I'm sure a lot of you have experienced this or may experience this, is that they send me pictures of the day. And they are pictures that I took some year back or some years back on that particular day. And looking back on those pictures, it started to occur to me what I didn't like about several of the layouts that I built along the way. And what that is, as you guys know, I have never done different scenery than the scenery I do. I've never done a layout with green scenery. It's always been desert. It's always been light colored, a lot of light colored, with the exception of the mountain that was here. And even that really wasn't super green. It had a lot of trees on it. But anyway, to get to the point of this is, relating it back to the pictures, is that every day when I get these pictures, there's a lot of old pictures that I had or had taken or gotten from distributors or whatever of items that are on the website. And there's also pictures of us and the old layouts and so forth, and pictures of Robin and I and the kids. And some of them go back far, really far. So I kept getting these pictures, and I was looking at the pictures and how cute it was when we used to take the two boys down to the yard here, and they were just little guys, little tiny guys, and they were so enthralled with the train. And one particular video, I could ask Gavin what that locomotive was, and it happened to be a GP20, and I had explained to him that you can always tell a GP20 by the sloped hood. And he immediately turned to me in the video and said, "It's a GP20, Poppy," and which I think is terribly cute. But nevertheless, to move on to where I'm going with this, is I see how young those kids were and how big they are now and how much time has passed. But I look at those pictures that come in, and all of my layouts were built with all of these buildings and stuff that I built 15, 20 years ago. And I think my burnout, and you guys have alluded to some things too. Everybody talks about how fast I built the last layout. Well, the reason that went fast is because I had all these structures already made, and I built the layout to fit the structures because I had the structures already made. Well, now reverting back a little bit, Robin had asked me the question, why do you build these layouts so fast and then you want to take them out? I mean, she knows why I take them out, but she says, why do you get disappointed in them so quickly? And then I kept thinking and I couldn't really figure out. I mean, I had some idea, But there were two reasons. One reason is all model railroaders like to have something to do. This is what we do. This is our hobby. If you finished a layout, it's like finishing a custom car. Have you ever known a custom car guy to finish a car and not turn around and get rid of it right away and start another project? Or be working on a custom car and work on another project? I'll use another analogy. Have you ever known a woman who quilts and they quilt and they finish a quilt? They don't just quit quilting. They start another quilt. In fact, they probably got 2 or 3 of them already on the burner. This is what hobbies are about, is the occupation of time in a way that makes you happy, okay? Well, I got to thinking of why these layouts came together so quickly and why I was unhappy with the layouts, some of the layouts. I wasn't unhappy with all the layouts, by the way. But circumstances created moves. You know, houses change and make moves of layouts and so forth. Rod Stewart moved his whole layout to England. I mean, you know, it's like there's things you have to do. There's things you don't have to do. Tearing this layout here out was a not have to do. But this is why I got so burned out with the layout. A lot of you said, gee, you go so fast. You built the layout so fast. Well, that was because I had all the structures. I have all the parts. I had track. I had all kinds of stuff left over from other things. I had wiring. I had bench work. This bench work has been on 3 layouts, this bottom bench work. But it still serves me. And I don't look at it all the time. But what got to me is, yeah, it's a new layout plan, and there's new stuff running around, new locomotives and new cars that I purchased and all that stuff. But I kept looking at it and I thought, why am I bored with this? It was the buildings. I built the buildings 20 years ago and I'm still using the same buildings. I very rarely built a new building. And then I started buying pre-made buildings. And they're absolutely no fun whatsoever if you're a hobbyist. And they look beautiful, but you buy it, poop, on the layout it goes, and you're done. 10 minutes. And it dawned on me, wait a minute, this is what I'm tired of. I'm not tired of layouts. I'm tired of all the structures. I haven't built a new structure in I don't know how long. And I built the layout to fit the structures I had. So when I decided to take it out and what the reasoning was behind it, and with the encouragement of Robin, I pulled it out. We had said, her and I, she was out here a lot, you guys know that. We decided to look through these buildings and decide which ones I wanted, which ones I didn't. I told everybody not to ask me about these buildings or anything that I'll make my decision when I'm going to get rid of something. But Robin and I talked about it at great length last night, and my burnout stemming from the fact that I had all these structures already made, and I have some that are my favorites, and some of them are plastic. But I think I want to do a layout where I build the layout and then insert the buildings in the industries. Because it's a reversal of the way I've done things for 20 years, since I started building all these buildings that I realized I still had. So the burnout did not come from the layout and running the train. The burnout came from just seeing the same thing. Even though I was on a different layout, I felt like I was on the same layout because everything was the same. And I think that's what pushed me over the edge to do this. So the new mentality here, and with the support of Robin, is, as I said, this layout, I love this layout. Well, this is a modified layout of the layout that I showed you, which was an Atlas HO plan, which happened to be the first layout that I ever built when I got into model trains. in Albuquerque in a shed that was built onto the side of the garage. I built the layout. I loved, absolutely loved building the layout. I loved running HO trains on that layout. I loved all of that. But we wound up moving down here. So anyway, to get back to it is, Robin has been very supportive to get back to the structures and things. We sorted through structures, and I said, well, I probably won't use these anymore. These are I'm kind of burnt out with these. I kind of like these. I know they've been around for a long time, but I don't know if I'm going to use them or not. Well, we had this discussion last night, and the discussion is, I don't think I'm going to sell any of the buildings. I spent a lot of time building them, and I still enjoy them, but I don't enjoy them on a new layout. So we're going to put almost all of these buildings in a tub or two, and we'll store them somewhere, and the kids can do whatever they want when we're gone with them. But somebody is going to enjoy the fact that I made them, and I don't know whether that would be one of you, would be my grandkids, would be my son. I don't know, and I don't really care. But I had fun building them. They mean something to me, and I'm hanging on to them all. I may use a few out here, as I said. I don't know, but I don't want to pile the layout with buildings I already recognize. I have a few wooden structures that I've built, and I have really enjoyed building them. And that little engine house that I used to have down there, the single stall engine house, was one of the kits I recently built and did a lot of detailing to the inside, and I really liked the little building. It'll definitely go on this layout, but I want to build some more wooden structure kits, and I want to do a different part of the planet. So this layout is going to be more greenery, more green. It's still going to be the ACT, but maybe it's northern New Mexico. I don't know, but I'm tired of building the same old scenery. I want to do something different, and that's the way it goes. But that's the big reasoning here is I realized that my frustration with a layout was the fact that I had the same buildings I built 20 years ago. It was like I kept, even though it was a different layout, I was seeing the same layout, the same buildings go by, and all that stuff. So anyway, that's how I got burnt out. That's why I'm building this layout like I am. I will probably do all the bench work and get all of the track running except the industrial area where I'm going to do the switching stuff. Probably get all that track going before I even put a building out there, because I want it to all be fresh. I want all the structures, or most of the structures, to be fresh. You will recognize some, I'm sure. But anyway, that's another part of the hobby that I was missing. I was missing the building of structures and the building of stuff, because I just bring something out here, plop it on there that I had from 20 years ago. And it really sapped a lot of fun out of the hobby for me, is not being able to do that. Another thing I have planned, and that I've been very, very, very laxed on, and I preach it to you guys, which is a little bit on the ironic side, is locomotive maintenance. And I have locomotives up here that are equally as old, if not older, and I've never lubricated them or done anything to them. So once I get this layout moving, I'm going to start a campaign to service every one of these locomotives up here. And I think you guys already know that this layout will be backdated some. At least that's the plan. I'll probably go up through the 60s, not into the 70s, but probably into the 60s, with steam and early diesels. I kind of have it in my head. I would like to get my car card system going again, built on building structures to fit the needs of where the traffic needs to go, versus going to buildings that I already had that don't necessarily track with the rest of the buildings on the layout. Anyway, I'm rambling on here, but I'm just trying to explain to you guys that there was more to it than just ripping out a layout, because there was a peninsula sticking out here. As you guys can see, there's way more room in here now. 4 or 5 people will be able to be in here. I will have room for another chair here so that a couple of us can sit down, shoot the bull, watch a video, train video. One of my buddies watches the car auctions. I mean, we could come over and, somebody could come over and do stuff. Put my spray booth back in here so I can get back to using that. Using it in the garage was a disaster because I didn't have it vented outside. I just had it vented onto the workbench because it was in the garage. And what was happening, and I didn't realize it right away, but what was happening every time I painted something, the fumes and the dust were going into the filter, but what was coming out of the filter was picking up the dust on the workbench, circulating it right back around onto the things I was painting. Duh. And so venting it outside here and painting in here should work. I don't know what else to tell you. I decided to go from Unitrack back to PicoTrack. Unitrack is on the bottom simply because I have it, and it's actually not part of the, well, it's part of the running layout, but it's not part of the visual part of the layout. And then everybody said, well, you're building this layout and you still have track underneath, and you don't like it. No, I didn't. Well, I did say I didn't like it, but the reason I didn't like it was because the train would go away and you literally could not see it for 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how fast the train was going. And without sound, you never knew where it was, or if it was running, or if it was burning itself up over there off the track somewhere under the layout. So as you can see on this layout, even though the trains are underneath, for most of the layout, they're visible. So you can see whether they're still running. And if they disappear, they'll come back relatively quickly. So that's why I still have track underneath. I have discussed my plans over here about a mountain and putting the Indian ruins in. And I'm not even sure the Indian ruins are going back. And I'm not sure the mesa I said was going to come back, because it's been on every layout, is going to come back. She said to me, well, if you don't like all the old buildings, why are you putting some of the old scenery back on there? And she said, I love that stuff, but I understand why you don't want to put it on there. And it made sense to me. It's just another thing that I've seen on every layout. Why would I want to put it on a new, fresh layout that I'm building? So it is highly likely that those things are not going back on either, and I may change my plan about a big, huge mountain over here and do something a little bit different, but not totally different. And this will be the first layout that I want to put a loop, just a separate loop on, that a train can run on its own without being watched at any time. So if somebody comes to visit and you don't have something ready to go out there, or the track is clogged with something, you can always turn on this loop up here and have a train going around. It'll go behind the mountain and it'll come back and be visible again. So that's the object of that. It's something I've always wanted to try and never got around to. So, I don't really know what else I can tell you about this. I just want to go back and use the Pico 55 again, because it's been some time since I've done it. And I was kind of getting tired of raising all the buildings and everything up because of the height of the Cato track. I had no problems with Cato track. There again, I just want to go back and do something different. And a matter of fact, I've had several people talk me out of it. But I was actually considering going back to DC, but I have so much DCC stuff, it doesn't make much sense. But go back to flipping the switches to go where you want to go, flipping the switches to have an oncoming train pass you, it's electrically it's possible for me, but there's things that it limits you to also. But that being said, I just wanted to make this video to explain why someone being me currently, would want to build a new layout. when you're close to finishing an existing layout. So I hope I've answered a couple of those questions, or at least my opinion of those questions for you. And I hope you enjoy this one and a little personal look into what I'm doing here and why I'm doing it. And once again, as usual, thanks for watching. I love you guys. Subscribe. I'm going to tell you what everybody tells you, but like and subscribe and pass this on to some other people that you think might get some use out of it, because me not being a political fanatic in one way or the other, or a transgender, or a influencer, or anything like that, a gun guy that does nothing but gun videos, I don't get a lot of subscribers, and that's okay. It doesn't bother me. But if you feel the need, please pass my channel on to other people that might enjoy it as much as you guys do. And I appreciate y'all for watching.